Today we're gonna look at a lens that I enjoyed using, the Sigma 24mm f1.4 DG HSM Art. It can be an excellent solution for street photography, for shooting in tight spaces, and many more things. Even if it has a wide angle, it can give us nicely blurred backgrounds. As always, we will go through 12 things, from physical aspects to image quality tests. Thanks to my local camera shop F64 for lending me this lens. Let's begin. First thing, build quality. This is an attractive looking lens. We have the big front element typical for these types of lenses. Underneath the rubber, we have the focusing ring that is made from metal. It turns smoothly. Here is a distance indicator, and on the back we have a metal mount. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a weather sealing gasket, but it definitely feels solid when you hold it in your hand. Nice build quality. Second thing, camera compatibilities. This is the Canon version. Others were created to work on these mounts that you now see on the screen. In the full name of this lens, good news, we have the DG letters, meaning that it was made to work on both full frame and APS-C sensor cameras. Third thing, focal length. 24mm on a full frame camera means that this is a wide angle lens, but not ultra wide. So you can use it more often for general purposes. 24mm, if you ask me, is very fun to use, and it's sufficiently wide for a lot of scenarios. If you decide to mount it on a crop sensor camera, 24mm will become 38mm, making it a great lens for street photography and for just about everything. Size and weight. When you mount it on a camera, 9 cm will stick out, so it's not very long. The thing that surprised me a bit is the weight. It has 665 grams. Not too heavy, but definitely not light. Something that makes this lens awesome is the minimum aperture value of f1.4. You won't be having issues in low light conditions. The maximum aperture value is f16, and now we see that it has 9 rounded aperture blades, which is nice. When it comes to focusing, I didn't saw any issues. It focuses fast, it doesn't hunt that much. The fact that it's a wide angle lens helps a lot. This will be the sound of the focusing motor, as you will hear. It's quite silent. It does make some clicking noises though. When it comes to manual focusing, the ring turns smoothly when you do a long twist. My copy of the lens is older and it had a sticky feeling on shorter twists. The lens allows full-time manual focus override, and that's a good thing. Coating and IS. To minimize flares and ghosting, it has Sigma's super multi-layer coating. In the upcoming bright light performance test, we will see its behavior. Unfortunately, the lens doesn't have image stabilization, but thanks to the wide angle of 24mm, the lack of IS shouldn't cause too many problems. Let's now test the image quality. Let's see the sharpness. On a full frame camera, at the widest aperture, the middle of the image is looking excellent. A very good result on sharpness and contrast. The middle of the image will always look great with this lens. The corners are a bit dark at f1.4. The image got a bit softer, but not too much, and we have very low levels of chromatic aberrations. If we stop down to f2, we see more sharpness and the corners got brighter. Already, starting with f2, the corners look okay. Closing the aperture more will give us better image quality, as we see now at f4 and at f5.6. Of course, starting with f11, diffraction will start to soften this image a bit. On a crop sensor camera at f1.4, again, we see very good sharpness and contrast. There is some green and magenta chromatic aberrations, but not too much. In the corners, the image is just a bit softer, with more green chromatic aberrations, but again, it's not too bad, and the corners are brighter on a crop sensor camera. We see improvements if we stop down to f2, now at f4, and even the chromatic aberrations are almost gone at f5.6. Diffraction will soften the image a bit if we go beyond f11, but that's normal. On image quality, this lens is quite impressive, with one of the best results ever in the middle of the image. Moving to distortion and vignetting. On a full frame camera at f1.4, we can say that the corners are very dark, so watch out for that. It's better to close the aperture at f2, where we see a big improvement. We have almost even illumination at f2.8. Distortion though is looking very good. We just see a small amount of barrel distortion. Quite impressive for a wide-angle lens like this one. On a crop sensor camera, you will not have any problems with distortion and vignetting. Close-up image quality. This lens focuses at a minimum distance of 25 centimeters. Here is where I put my focusing point, on the close-up letters. At f1.4, we see a decent result with good sharpness, but not too much contrast. An improvement comes at f2, and we see more contrast at f2.8. In bright light, this wide-angle lens has some difficulties. When the sun is directly hitting the glass, we see a big light ring. Also, we have a loss in contrast and flaring is not looking too good. Now, I guess everybody's curious about this one, the bokeh test. The wide aperture should deliver good results, but we must remember that this is a wide-angle lens. At normal distances, the backgrounds will look a bit busy, but the result is not too bad. When we get closer, those backgrounds look nice and soft. I'm not disappointed with the quality of this lens's bokeh. It delivers decent results, and if we get very close to the subject, the backgrounds will look very smooth. In conclusion, Sigma here made a great lens. It has a good build quality and excellent sharpness in the middle of the image. It also has low levels of chromatic aberrations and distortion. I would say that the biggest flaw of this lens are those dark corners at f1.8 on a full-frame camera, but they quickly disappear by closing the aperture a bit. On a crop sensor camera, this lens will also be a good option, coming close to the full-frame equivalent of 35mm. It truly is a nice piece of equipment for both photographers and videographers. If this video was useful, press that like button, consider subscribing, and see you on the next one.